Hey there guys, this is Richard, your host, with another marvelous video. The popular anti-superhero drama The Boys has finally premiered, and the first 3 episodes have been released on Amazon Prime Video to an overwhelming reception. The diabolical superheroes, the dark and satirical world of Billy Butcher and The Boys, and some ridiculous violence and action have already set the roadmap for the episodes to follow. In this episode, we'll get you prepared for an explosive season ahead with a detailed recap of all that happened in the first 3 episodes and all that you can expect next. There'll be some major spoilers along the way, so you've been warned. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Department of Dirty Tricks, the nearly perfect season opener. The story's premised 6 months after the events of Season 3, which is clear when Mother's Milk accuses Butcher of hiding his perilous health condition for the last 6 months. The world has changed considerably in these 6 months, and so have the characters and the circumstances. For instance, looks so different that many people wondered if a different actor has been hired for the role. Previously, we've seen a major showdown between Billy Butcher, Homelander, and Soldier Boy. During the climactic moments of the 3rd season, Queen Maeve sacrificed her powers to take down Soldier Boy, and Homelander couldn't be killed because Butcher was keen on saving his son, Ryan. Meanwhile, the temporary compound V used by Butcher caused him some kind of cancer that only gave him approximately a year to live. On the other hand, Huey and Starlight continued their relationship, and Starlight officially renounced her role in the Seven and started living life with a human identity, Annie. However, the boys still remain focused on their ultimate objective, and currently, they're working in close proximity with the CIA. The first episode of Season 4, titled Department of Dirty Tricks, opens with the titular team planning a daring mission against Victoria Newman. The twisted congresswoman is the new vice president-elect, and she's busy with her victory speeches and parties. The top minds at the CIA who know about Victoria Newman's superhuman powers are terrified about the prospect of her rising through the ranks and assuming a position of power. Thus, it's a great time for the boys to take a shot, and everyone from Annie, Huey, Kimiko, and Frenchie are in a position to make the operation successful. The first signs of Billy Butcher are not too promising, and he's also become a liability for the team. He can be seen puking his guts out, and the effects of the temporary V have also caused hallucinations. Victoria Newman is organizing an election party in a hotel, and Kimiko and Frenchie accompany Butcher inside, but they force Butcher to hang back. Homelander is also seen at the party, although it becomes pretty clear that his appearance is unannounced and unexpected. He arrives with his son Ryan, meets Victoria, much to her annoyance, and expresses his desire to use her political influence. In typical Homelander style, he uses the media and public eye to popularize his professional relationship with Newman, even though she wants to have nothing to do with him. There's an ongoing probe against Homelander for his act of publicly killing an individual, and Newman doesn't want to risk her career for him. Another noticeable aspect about Homelander in this season is that he's showing signs of aging. From his graying pubic hair to his other bodily changes, the superhero is extremely anxious and upset about this change. As it turns out, even the mightiest superhero isn't free from the aging effects, and he's extremely conscious about his body image. He sends his son Ryan to have some ice cream with Victoria Newman's daughter Zoe, but the two of them encounter Billy Butcher. He tries to convince Ryan to come with him, but Homelander arrives just in time to brainwash him further. He talks about how Butcher is gonna be dead very soon because of a clot in his brain, and even though Ryan walks away with Homelander, he's somewhat saddened about Butcher's condition. Meanwhile, Kimiko and Frenchie are acting on the operation as planned. They enter Victoria Newman's room and replace her eye drops with acid in a clever attempt to blind her. However, there's a major hindrance in the plan when her daughter Zoe walks into the room. Previously, Zoe has been administered Compound V, and now we finally get to see her superhuman abilities. She releases deadly teeth tentacles, and a couple of CIA agents accompanying Frenchie and Kimiko are killed in no time. Kimiko does manage to stall her, but she gets her arms ripped off, and she barely makes it out alive along with Frenchie with a little help from Annie. As and Annie are busy with the injured duo, Victoria Newman pays Huey a visit, and she seems to know all about their plans against her. In a heartfelt conversation, Huey asks her about their friendly past as colleagues and wonders if it was all faked. Newman recounts some of their wonderful moments together, but it's soon revealed that the extended conversation is simply a trick by Huey to buy him some time. He grabs an acid canister and splashes her face with the acid. However, we're in for another shocker as we find out that Victoria Newman is impervious to acid. It does nothing more to her skin than water would. It burns a part of her shirt, which is no more than a minor inconvenience for her. Butcher steps in with a surprise attack on Newman and shoots her in the head, but even this turns out to be in vain because she's evidently bulletproof as well. She nonchalantly brushes aside these attacks and talks about the importance of a truce before walking away. Season 4 does justice to her character and sets her up as the perfect badass that she is. The next day, the boys have a meeting with the CIA, where the likes of Mallory and Robert Singer are present. They highlight the importance of taking Victoria Newman out before the elections are over, because it'd be absolutely catastrophic to have one of the supes in a position of power. Billy Butcher's not allowed inside the meeting room, but he does meet an old friend of his called Kessler, who's played by none other than Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He wants Butcher to join him for the original mission of killing Homelander, and maybe Butcher can consider this offer given how Mother's Milk has taken over as the leader of the boys. Promises a decisive action against Victoria Newman, but he has some personal matters to sort out as well. Monique tells him how their daughter Janine is now prone to violence, and Monique believes it to be a result of Todd's absence. Can't wrap his head around how a Homelander supporter like Todd can influence his daughter so much, but he still agrees to use his resources to get him back. Elsewhere, Homelander can be seen struggling with a terrible existential crisis because of his aging. He's also not happy about the kind of yes-men that he surrounded himself with. The incompetent group of sycophants is incapable of making decisions or pointing out if Homelander's wrong, and he acknowledges the importance of having a sensible voice in the team. It's also interesting to note that Black Noir is back in action, but this isn't the original Black Noir who's been killed by Homelander in the last season. The Black Noir that you see as a part of the Seven is actually an actor who's been hired to fill in as the superhero so as not to cause any questions. Back with the boys, Annie's in favor of cutting Butcher loose because he's been so erratic of late, and even though the others agree, Huey continues to have faith in him. However, in yet another crucial twist, Butcher meets Victoria Newman secretly and they strike a deal. Butcher will retrieve the secret data from her past from Huey, and Newman would help him in saving Ryan from Homelander. Meanwhile, Huey learns that his father has had a stroke and is hospitalized, and Annie's new charity organization fails to collect enough funds to make an impact. Everyone wants her to take over her Starlight avatar once more, but she refuses to go back to the commercial gimmicks. Also, Frenchie happens to reunite with one of his old friends Colin, and Kimiko realizes from their interactions that they probably share a romantic past. Homelander's working on his own plans and he recruits a new superhero, Sister Sage, who's the smartest one on the planet. She has a photographic memory, wisdom, and over the years she's consumed thousands of books. After realizing that she is indeed as smart as her reputation suggests, Homelander hires her into the Seven, and finally, the egoistic superhero seems to realize that he needs someone to give him a reality check and strategize for him. He seeks a pure world for his son, free from all the complications of Vought and its investors and all the hate that the supes are getting from one section of the audience. Sage suggests a civil war of sorts, and it all starts when protesters and followers gather alongside on the day of Homelander's verdict. When he's announced innocent, Sage sneakily becomes a part of the protesters and instigates a fight between the two groups. Todd and a couple of other devout Homelander supporters have been brutally killed on Homelander's orders, and these murders are pinned on Annie and her supporters. The episode ends on a chaotic note as the boys have too much on their plate. Huey's mother, who's been absent all along, shows up at the hospital, and Frenchie seems to seal his relationship with Colin. Homelander's shocked to find out that his son Ryan still cares for Butcher, and he's sad to learn that Butcher only has a few months to live. Toward the end of the episode, Butcher sends something to Newman on a phone, but it doesn't seem like the evidence possessed by Huey against her. Another thing that strikes us in this episode is how Butcher has lost his mind, and this version of Billy Butcher is more ruthless and erratic than ever before, because he has nothing to lose with only a few months of his life left. Can he still save Ryan before it's too late, or is Ryan too far gone already? Go. Life among the septics. The chaos intensifies. Now that the premise has been set, the second episode takes you further into the chaotic mess. The episode starts off with a parody of The Blind Side, which features A-Train and Will Ferrell. Although A-Train doesn't approve of the numerous racial stereotypes in the movie, he's still forced to be a part of the movie because he's contract bound by Vought. Black Noir approaches him for directions because he's struggling to understand the driving force behind the actual character. But A-Train simply tells him to focus on being silent because Black Noir isn't supposed to speak at all, and the news mustn't leak out. On the other hand, Annie watches helplessly as the murders of the Homelander supporters are pinned on two black men, Benny Long and Ian Rashford, even though they're completely innocent. Meanwhile, Huey's not exactly having the happiest of reunions with his mother, Daphne. She's forcing the use of alternative medicines on his father, and she also claims to have the power of attorney, which gives her the right to decide for Huey's father. We're yet to know if Daphne really means well and is trying to redeem herself, or if this is simply a scheme for something else. Frenchie and Colin seem to have run into rough waters. Even though Colin is injured in the clash between the Homelander supporters and protesters, Frenchie doesn't visit him. Kimiko is forced to deal with her horrifying past with the Shining Light Liberation Army because she's seeking speech therapy sessions and her therapist wants her to confront her past. Finally, Butcher spills his secret to the entire team and the likes of learn about his health condition, and he's removed from the team. Back in Vought Towers, strategies are being made to launch Ryan as a superhero, but the stories are not impressing Ryan. Sister Sage steps in and suggests that the launch should be such that people view Ryan as the second coming of Jesus Christ, and he shouldn't be perceived as another Vought product. Even Even Homelander is finally convinced of this idea, and this makes Ashley insecure because suddenly her position is threatened by Sage. Her plans to intimidate Sage also fail, and Deep is given the opportunity to redeem his reputation by tagging along with Ryan in the narrative. Clearly, Sister Sage is going to be a very influential character going ahead, and the boys will have to deal with all her wisdom and meticulous planning. Mother's Milk has an idea about A-Train and Sage's involvement in the killings of Todd and the other Homelander supporters, and now he learns that Sage is headed to Harrisburg, where she'll attend an event at the Vought Gardens. The boys plan to head there, but Huey and Starlight stay back. And it's quite a sight as Ryan's first crime-stopping mission is being set up, where he'd be accompanied by Black Noir and Deep. Ryan's, however, quite nervous about this gimmick event, and there are early signs that things will go horribly wrong at some point. Meanwhile, Homelander's insecurities with his aging receive a fresh boost when he overhears people talking about how easy it is to act alongside Ryan and tough to work with older actors because their wrinkles and neck folds have to be erased. When Frenchie and Kimiko arrive at Vought Gardens, they're shocked to find Butcher already present there, and now they're forced to let him tag along in this mission, where they want to find out what Sage is really up to. There's a bizarre sequence in this episode when the team enters an event called TruthCon. A demented supe named Splinter is showing touching himself while looking at Firecracker, another popular supe. Splinter has the ability to create clones of himself, and the team walks in on multiple Splinter clones in a human centipede-like situation. The scene cuts to Huey and Annie, who want to find some dirt on A-Train, and the super-fast supe can be seen talking to his nephews about his heroic stories. However, he's interrupted by Nathan, who's angry about A-Train doing nothing when he was previously crippled by Blue Hawk. He tells his children to not believe a word of A-Train about his heroics, and the dejected supe leaves the scene. Back at the TruthCon, a tussle ensues between Butcher and when Butcher intends to get a hold on Sage and make her spill all their plans. Wants this to be a surveillance mission only, and a fistfight results from the disagreement. Kimiko, on the other hand, is drunk and creates a scene, clearly struggling from the memories of her past that continue to haunt her. Frenchie takes her away to avoid drawing too much attention. Meanwhile, Huey and Annie have a surprise waiting for them when they get back to the headquarters. A-Train is waiting for them, and he hands them an important footage that proves that the ones accused for the murder of the Homelander supporters are actually innocent. It seems like A-Train finally wants to do something truly heroic, and his days of being a cowardly supporter of Homelander are over. What was intended to be Ryan's introductory rescue mission turns out to be a nightmarish situation after he accidentally kills one of the stunt performers. The boys are dealing with a crisis of their own, because Sage, Firecracker, Splinter, and the multiple clones of Splinter lay an ambush on Kimiko, and Frenchie. Sage, who wants Firecracker to be a part of the Seven, wants her to kill the three of them as an audition. What follows is a gory and comical showdown. No matter how many clones the boys kill, more are created by Splinter. Finally, Butcher arrives and lands the killing blow on Splinter, and this in turn kills all the clones as well. Firecracker manages to escape, and acknowledges the help from Butcher despite the differences. After Ryan's introductory moment gone wrong, he's comforted by Homelander at Fort Towers, and on the other hand, the innocent victims are freed following the evidence provided by A-Train. A crucial secret about Frenchie is revealed toward the end of the episode, when we learn about the time he killed Colin's entire family. This is the reason behind Frenchie distancing himself from Colin, because his guilt has never left him alone. Huey warns her mother about pretending to put up a good act and threatens to take her to court if she doesn't leave him alone. A troubled Kimiko also seeks a path to redemption and decides to go after a few members of the Shining Light Liberation Army who are in the city. Butcher and have a heart-to-heart conversation, where Butcher admits that he's made many mistakes in his life, but he wants to do one thing right by rescuing Ryan from his demented father. Thinks that it's already too late, and the two are not really back together as a team, even though it seemed like it when Butcher saved the day for the boys. Will the team now work separately, given how they all have individual goals to sort out at this point? We'll keep the red flag flying here. In this episode, the new Seven is formally announced to the public, and Homelander introduces the likes of Sister Sage, Firecracker, and Ryan as members of the superhero team. All this while, Kessler and Butcher have a plan to take Ryan away from Homelander. They want to drug Ryan and then keep him in a safe house fit for keeping superheroes. However, Kessler and Butcher have a difference of opinion as well. While Butcher wants to train Ryan to become a good human being like his wife Becky wanted, Kessler wants to train him to be a powerful superhero who can kill Homelander. Back with the Seven, Firecracker is doing what she does best, spewing hate like she does, and other members like Black Noir, A-Train, and Deep are posing for pictures. Homelander seems to trust Sister Sage more and more, and they have a discussion on how to build a trust-filled environment among the Seven. Huey, who wants to sue his mother, finds out that he doesn't have a choice because his father voluntarily gave her the power of attorney. Frenchie seems to have made up his mind to tell Colin all about how he killed his whole family, but a sudden attack from one of the extremists fed by Firecracker's garbage stops him. Later, he fails to tell Colin the truth, even though they reignite their intimacy. On the other hand, Newman and Singer are in total agreement on isolating the Supes from being a part of the civil services and armed forces. Victoria Newman doesn't seem to care much about how her actions will affect her relationship with Homelander going ahead. Kimiko is all set to get her revenge on the members of the Shining Star Liberation Army in New York. She tells Frenchie about her intentions, but the latter is high on drugs. The other members of the boys discuss about the possibility of roping in A-Train secretly because he's shown signs of goodness in his heart by offering his help. Butcher finally gets his act together with Ryan and invites him over to his place. When he shows up, Butcher offers him spiked cookies, but Ryan isn't hungry yet and Butcher has to buy himself more time. Meanwhile, a lot's happening at Vought headquarters, and Ashley is demoted from her position because Sister Sage is now doing everything that she used to do. Deep's removed as the head of the crime analytics because under his watch someone stole the footage that freed the wrongfully accused. He's quite disturbed following the ouster, and even his loving octopus can't soothe the pain. Tries to get A-Train on his team, but the super-fast Supe is still caught up in a dilemma and doesn't agree to join them yet. However, he does listen to the entire proposal, including how the boys plan to stop the evil practices of Vought before things go terribly wrong. Back at the secret Shining Star hideout, Kimiko and Frenchie are in action, but the drugs kick in badly for Frenchie just as they enter the premises. Kimiko deals with the terrorists while Frenchie hallucinates about all the crimes from his past. Kimiko also encounters a familiar face among the Shining Star members, and she doesn't hurt the girl even when she's attacked. There's clearly a past connection between the two, but as of now, Kimiko's just mad at Frenchie for being no help at all. Back at Butcher's house, he catches up with Ryan, and while talking to the young boy, he realizes that Ryan still has the opportunity to stay away from the evil side. Instead of feeding him the spiked cookies, Butcher takes his time to explain his thoughts and philosophies, probably with the hope that Ryan wouldn't turn out to be another Homelander. At Vought Tower, however, things are quite tense, and an investigation is ongoing to find out who leaked the footage. Sister Sage interrogates a member of the crime analytics department, but the moment she confesses ties with Starlight, Homelander kills her before she can spill more. Ashley, who was previously contemplating resigning, now realizes that there's no way out because she knows too much about the Supes and would be killed the moment she quits. The scene cuts away to an intense interaction between Starlight and Firecracker, where the latter confronts Starlight about her previous actions. Earlier, when they starred in the pageant circuit together, Starlight spread rumors about Firecracker to gain prominence, and now she apologizes for her past wrongdoings. Firecracker refuses to forgive her, and she wants to humiliate Annie just how she was humiliated once. Meanwhile, Hugh is furious when he finds out that intends to work with A-Train, but he's forced to obey the orders of the leader of the group. He overhears a meeting between Victoria Newman, Homelander, and Sage, where Sage gives him the idea to kill the president so that martial law is evoked. Victoria Newman can take over and eliminate everything that's critical of the Supes, and in reality, the Supes will take over administration of the country. Sage also wants her to reveal her original identity so that America can openly have a Supe president. While eavesdropping on this crucial information, Hugh is almost caught because of his sweat drops, but A-Train saves him before it's too late. Homelander goes berserk, and what follows is a meltdown of epic proportions. The episode ends with too many fragments for the story ahead. Huey makes peace with his mother after learning about the issues she encountered before she left. Butcher and Kessler have a fallout because the former let Ryan go back to Homelander with the belief that he's a good kid and can't be corrupted. There's an intimate moment between Deep and Sage, and Homelander finds out that Ryan has been meeting Butcher. He's furious and loses his cool, and in an intense scene, we see his alter egos telling him to go back to his origins in order to be a stronger version of himself. He realizes that he needs to destroy the traces of humanity left in him, and the viewers are left shuddering at the thought of how maniacal he can get when he's truly unhinged.
Cross justice, double cross, triple cross, crossfire, cross country, cross the line.
Will we see Homelander revisiting his past? The hard-hitting climax of the third episode is a clear indication that the series will explore Homelander's disturbing past a lot more in the upcoming episodes. After discovering the presence of a traitor and realizing that Ryan has a significant soft corner for Butcher despite Homelander's best efforts, the insecurities of the troubled Supe are open wounds. The scene where he looks into the mirror and faces the fractured bits of his psyche reveals his disturbed state, and he realizes that he needs to get rid of his vulnerabilities by eliminating the traces of humanity in him. The flashbacks that he experiences in the third episode offer valuable clues regarding his potential journey to his past. His reflections instruct him to head back to the beginning, and we might see him reliving the baggage from his childhood. He was raised in Vought laboratories where terrible experiments were performed on him, and the comic book readers are already aware of his traumatic childhood. The next episodes of Season 4 might finally give the answers to several questions regarding Homelander. We might find out his need to be loved and admired, and his sociopathic behavior is probably Vaught's doing. We've all wondered what really separates Homelander from the other Supes and makes him the strongest. It looks like we'll finally have some answers when he heads back to the place where he was raised. Will Homelander lose his mind completely in the upcoming episodes? Those who are familiar with the boys' graphic novels will know that Homelander becomes totally crazy toward the end. He attempts a coup, and he's finally killed by Butcher, preventing an apocalyptic world ruled by supes. In the show version, Homelander's a sadistic and psychotic individual who's extremely unpredictable, but we're yet to see him truly losing his mind. If the show does intend to go the same way as the comic counterpart, you might see him becoming completely blinded by power and arrogance. If Ryan is indeed taken away from him, it might be the last nail in the coffin, and then the boys will have to deal with an uncontrollable Homelander with no inhibitions whatsoever. Now that Season 5 has been officially announced, it'll not come as a surprise to see a completely crazy Homelander by the end of Season 4, who will need to be taken down in the next season in order to save the world. You remember his threats to Starlight in the earlier season when he stated that if he had nothing to lose, he'd act accordingly? Well, those empty threats may not be so empty after all. Will the boys find a way to work together? One of the most concerning things in the first 3 episodes has been the lack of unity among the boys. Each of them's dealing with demons of their own, and even the goals are diverse within the group. Given how things are taking a turn for the worse, it's extremely important for the team to get their act together. They wouldn't stand a chance if Huey, and Butcher are fighting each other, and even Kimiko, Frenchie, and Danny need to step up the coordination. We expect a major event in the next few episodes to align their goals, but it's worth noting that the comic series doesn't have a happy ending for the group. In the graphic novels, Frenchie, Kimiko, and Mother's Milk are all killed by Butcher when he totally loses his mind. Finally, Huey kills Butcher, and although the show might go very differently, we can't rule out a similar ending once Homelander is dealt with. What'll happen to A-Train in the next episodes? Currently, A-Train's living dangerously because he's betraying the Seven right under their noses. Given how Homelander and Sister Sage are obsessed with finding out the mole in the team, it might not be long before they stumble upon A-Train. Such redemption arcs often end in the death of the character, and A-Train might get one last chance to become a hero before he has to sacrifice himself for the greater good. Of course, we all know that he doesn't stand a chance against Homelander, and we wouldn't be surprised if we see him meeting the same fate as Black Noir in the upcoming episodes. Marvel's verdict: the stage has been all set for fireworks. There's a common problem associated with any long-running TV series, and it's the problem of being dragged after a point. While it's unreasonable to suggest that The Boys is being dragged, it's also true that for the first time in the series, the season opener didn't evoke the kind of addiction that makes you crave for the entire season all at once. There are action-packed thrilling moments in all 3 episodes, but they're starting to feel commonplace. However, there's some good news for the fans because the show creator Eric Kripke has announced that the 5th season of The Boys will likely air sometime in 2025, and this is all set to be the final season. Thus, you can expect the preparations to close off the story, which means some decisive moments across the next episodes of Season 4. We'd love to hear from you in the comments below about your experience of watching the first 3 episodes, and also tell us what you expect to happen next. Let us know your favorite moments of the season so far, and feel free to drop your feedback as well. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.